Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, we welcome you to another live and hope you're having a great start to your day. We're going to talk about something I never talk about, and that is vitamin D. Okay. And good morning, Nick. How are you this morning? Michael, hope you're having a great day. Okay. Yeah, good. Francis Marie, Evelyn, and Rosa. Nice to have you on this morning. Okay, and Jeanette from our staff. So Nick and Jeanette are on. Great to have you guys on. Arlene, how are you? Annette from New Brunswick. Donna. We appreciate you very much. Joss, how are you? Hope you're having a great day. Another Nicole from Iowa. And Lucy, good morning to you. Diane, good morning to you. And let's see, a couple of others and then we'll get going, okay? Nellie, good to have you on with us this morning. Yolande, I always wait for you, Yolande, to come on, okay? Good to have you on. Deb, how are you? And Jeanette from Hearst, Ontario. Nice to have you with us. Colleen from Wheatley. Another Diane. Good to have you on. Teresa from Manitoba. Coast to coast, Canada and the United States, and even around the world. We have folks from Australia and Micheline, bonjour. Good to have you on. Beverly, great to have you. Judy. Okay. She saw an oriole this morning. It's a sign of spring, isn't it? Diane and Kim and Carla from Saskatoon. We appreciate you guys very much. From PEI, Claire, Deb, Rainy Monday. Okay, let's get going. Catherine, how are you? Springdale, Newfoundland. I was talking to my good buddy, Dr. Troy, this morning from Newfoundland, okay? Now, we sort of mentioned this, and I'll mention it after. We're going to be teaching a nutrition course through the World Health Organization, the World of Natural Medicine Organization, and I'll be teaching that coming up. I'll give you more information on that. If you're interested in being certified in nutrition from the World Organization of Natural Medicine, it's coming, okay? So I'll give you more details about that. And you might be interested in that, okay? Here's the question this morning. When do you suspect that you are deficient in vitamin D? Now, vitamin D's been getting lots of ink. People are talking about vitamin D. Even the general public is talking about vitamin D. Some people in the media are talking about vitamin D. Some politicians are talking about vitamin D. Not many, but some. And because of this whole situation with the virus, and, when people, it's like an onion, you start to unpeel some of the stuff that's going on here. Unfortunately, very few people are talking about the real issue, and it's not the virus as much as your immune system. And I'm talking to you, have been talking to you, and will continue to teach the importance for you as an individual to take care of your immune system. You can't control things. You're always, if you think, even for one moment, that once we, sort of settle COVID down, that everything is, you're never going to see another wave of a virus coming. I don't know what else to tell you. There's always going to be viruses, and some are going to be worse than others. There's always going to be bacteria. You are surrounded by bacteria and viruses. The vast majority of them do you no harm at all. And the only people, and this is, very true, it's almost impossible to be sick if you do not have an underlying condition. So the idea is to talk about the immune system, but people are not talking about that. It's unfortunate. It's not the narrative. I've been trying to scream as loud as I can and to as many people as I can get to, and telling them, what about the immune system? What about the immune system? And one, and two, what is affecting the immune system that you can control is food. Food. Because the vast majority, and I'll post a study that I read this morning again, that shows that people were hospitalized with viruses, the virus, had very, very similar underlying conditions. And it really had to do with insulin. People who had elevated blood sugar were much more susceptible to getting sick. People who had elevated blood pressure were much more susceptible to getting sick to this virus, almost exclusively. And one of the areas, and again, I'll bring this more out, when you get into homes for the aged, the problem there is their immune system. Well, first of all, they're older. But one of the biggest issues is what they feed them. They feed them nothing but bread, pasta, rice, cereals, not enough meat, not enough eggs, and not enough cheese. I'm telling you, processed cereals, juices, and their blood sugars are elevated. I mean, you don't have to be a diabetic to have trouble with insulin. That suppresses your immunity. And then, of course, they're not testing their vitamin D levels, which I want to talk to you about this morning. They're not testing vitamin D, because if they did, they'd find 99% of folks, beautiful people, that are in these homes, they're extremely low in vitamin D. Extremely low. They never, and sometimes it's normal vitamin D. You can be normal, but extremely low. Because the ranges of vitamin D are incredibly, they miscalculated when they do those tests. Oh, Dr. Martin, my vitamin D is normal, but it's not optimized. And if it's not optimized, you're not going to have a good immune system. And then we had our Minister of Health here in Canada say vitamin D was fake news. She actually said it. Fake news. I could send her thousands of studies. But when they don't want to hear it, what can you do? You know what I tell people? I used to be able to pick them out in 5 seconds in my office. Huh, Dr. Martin, I thought you were going to give me a pill to get rid of things. No, I'm not going to give you a pill. You need to change your lifestyle, and you need to change it fast. You're on the Titanic. And I could tell their eyes would sort of glass over, and they weren't interested. So I would say, well, if you're not interested, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with you trying to convince you to be interested. If you want to be healthy, it's going to take some effort. You didn't get unhealthy without putting a lot of effort into it. You've been eating rottenly for a long time. You've had a lot of bad habits, and you're a carboholic and you're a sugarholic, and it's not going to be easy to change that. But for those who were listening, who were all ears, they got my attention and they got my time. But when they're not interested, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it, even though I would add salt to that water to make them thirsty. But if they're not listening, a lot of people don't listen when it comes to food. Oh, I got to have my carbs. I got to have bread. I got to have pasta. I got to have my cereal, because otherwise I'm not going to go to the bathroom if I don't have my cereal in the morning. All bran. Oatmeal. What do you mean I can't have orange juice? I got to have my vitamin C, don't I, Doc? Orange juice. No, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. And so, if you're not interested, you didn't get my attention and you didn't get my time. You didn't get my attention, nor did you get my time. And I was pretty good at detecting that within a nanosecond or two when people were coming into my office. Now, you would think they already invested money. They were coming, they were investing their time. I don't know what they thought I did. After I gave them all the results, they didn't mind that. They liked the testing. And then I said, well, now you got to change that. You came to me because I'm going to change. And I always started with food. Always. Always. Because you can't control everything in life. But you can control what you eat. Not easy. I didn't say it was easy. Because we live in a world that is surrounded by carbohydrates, and we have a big food industry who pushes, and a big pharma industry that pushes. They don't want to cure disease. They want to manage disease. So, what's this got to do with vitamin D? Okay. I had to go on that little tangent, and it's just the way I operate. You know that. Okay? I had to go on a little tangent. When should you suspect you're low in vitamin D? When should you suspect? Because, like I said, very few people know they're low in vitamin D because their doctors in Canada and in the United States pretty well, they still are 50 years behind when it comes to vitamin D. Because when I was a kid, vitamin D, they realized there was a disorder out there called rickets. Bowing of the bones. Rickets. And they found out that if they gave you vitamin D in a cod liver oil capsule, even though it was a very low amount of vitamin D, it fixed rickets. And so doctors, since the 1940s, 1950s, have known the benefits of vitamin D and bones. They know that. Doctors know that. And it doesn't take much to help your bones of vitamin D. It doesn't take a lot of it. And that's why the numbers they calculated for vitamin D go back 50, 60 years or more. The calculations for vitamin D were completely wrong, because all they did was, how much vitamin D do you need for your bones? For your bones. Not immune system. They didn't know. So I never blame doctors for what you don't know. They didn't know it. They were ignorant of it. They didn't realize that vitamin D, what it did. For the immune system, you are a human solar panel. Okay? Every cell in your body has a receptor. Every cell. You got billions of cells. All of them have a little antenna for vitamin D. All of them. We didn't know that 60 years ago. We didn't have microscopes strong enough. We didn't. And today, we know that you are a human solar panel. So when people talk to me about the sun being the boogeyman, no, it's not. It's not. So when do you suspect you're low in vitamin D? Okay, I've written down 8 things. 9. I got 9. Okay, but I'm just going to go through these this morning. A good rule of thumb is think right out of the gate that you're low in vitamin D. It's a good rule of thumb because most people are. They're saying, I'm telling you, 90% of North Americans are low in vitamin D. They do not have optimized levels of vitamin D so that their immune system would work properly. If you eat a lot of carbs and a lot of sugars, you need to be suspicious that you're low in vitamin D. Why is that? Because when you eat a lot of sugar, you do not absorb vitamin D properly. That's number one. That's number one on the hit parade. If you're a bad eater, almost invariably, you will be low in vitamin D. That's why we're at 90%. What have I told you out of the CDC and this and that over the years? And this is incredible. 88% of the population is metabolically unwell. And part of metabolic syndrome, and it should be, in my opinion, is having low levels of vitamin D. Not having optimized levels of vitamin D. That makes you metabolically unwell. So it's the chicken or the egg, the cart or the horse. Is it because you are metabolically, you're eating junk? And when you're eating bread, you're eating junk. When you're eating cereal, you're eating junk. When you're drinking orange juice, you're drinking junk. When you're drinking apple juice, you're drinking junk. When you're eating rice, I love rice, but you're eating junk food, okay? You might not like to hear that. And, Dr. Martin, I always, I eat in moderation. Okay. But if 88% of the population is unwell metabolically, and they are much more susceptible to the virus and this and that, and everything else, metabolic syndrome is food. It's carbs. It's crappy carbs. It's as simple as that. You were never meant to eat that much carbohydrate. And this week sometime, I will teach again This whole idea that we need to have a balanced diet. That is so untrue. It's so untrue. Especially in the day and age in which we live. We don't live in the same world that when I was a kid. We don't live in the same world because they've changed everything. I'm going to teach that. And they brainwashed us. You know, I'm not even saying they had bad motives. I'm not saying that. They might have thought they were doing good when they told you to eat cereal. I know Dr. Kellogg's really believed what he was saying. He really believed it. He was religious about it. You got to stop eating bacon and eggs and don't eat red meat because it's bad for you, and eat my cereal. That was the mantra of Dr. Kellogg's. He wasn't right, but he was sincere. I'm sure he was. I never met him, but I'm sure he was. Ancel Keys, I'm sure he was sincere. Oh, cholesterol, that's going to kill you. And guys, true or false, has it not permeated all of society? Cholesterol. Every time I talk to someone, I used to do it every day. I still do it every day. Doc, can you look at my LDL? My doctor said my cholesterol is high. Oh. I have to take a deep breath. You know why I don't wear a smartwatch? I don't want my watch to tell me to breathe, okay? My wife has one of those smartwatches. She said, you should get one. Why? I don't want a watch telling me when to breathe. I don't. It would be telling me all day, breathe. I don't want that, okay? No. When you eat rotten, you're going to have low levels of vitamin D, number one. Number two, excess sweating. Are you a big sweater? Now listen, ladies. You sweat at night because you're in menopause? That ain't vitamin D. Okay? It could be, but it's not the primary reason. The reason is because you got hormones. But you see a man that sweats profusely, usually they have extremely low levels of vitamin. Well, you know how you know that is when babies sweat. They're sweating, little infants, they're low in vitamin D. Look for that. You know, you have, what's that stinking name of the word now? Uresis. I'm having a senior moment. It's a medical term for excess sweating. Usually you're low in vitamin D. And nobody's checking that. You got gut troubles. Number three, any kind of chronic digestive issue. You see, vitamin D, comes in through your skin from the sun, or you're taking a vitamin D supplement. The problem with vitamin D is you need a good gut too. So people that have, and this is why I'm saying it, because they've done a lot of research on this. The Vitamin D Council has done a lot of research on Crohn's and ulcerative colitis and different conditions like diverticulosis and things like that. These people have extremely low vitamin D usually. And when they have a condition called SIBO, small intestine bacterial infection. It's not bacterial, it's fungal. according to Dr. Martin. That's me. I believe it's fungal, not bacterial. Bacteria is there, but it's not the primary reason. When they have SIBO and a lot of gas and bloating and whatever, suspect that you're low in vitamin D. High blood pressure, suspect that you are low in vitamin D. One thing for sure, you have high blood pressure, it is your body screaming at you that you have insulin resistance. Your cells don't like insulin anymore. And 2, you have low levels of vitamin D. Almost invariably. It's common. So when people used to come in to me and they had high blood pressure, which is what, 50% of the population today? Isn't it insane? It's food. It's not salt, it's sugar. It's not salt, it's sugar. And people are chronically dehydrated. That is a factor. And they have insulin resistance because they're carboholics. The average North American's consuming almost 200 pounds of sugar a year. You know how many teaspoons of sugar that is a day? It's craziness. It's 60, 70 teaspoons of sugar a day. Every day. Kids. Imagine being weaned like that. Imagine living like that. No wonder we have so many health problems. And you don't want to get me started on the virus has taken over the narrative. Do you know that the College of Physicians and Surgeons in Ontario, the College of Physicians and Surgeons have told doctors to shut their mouths. No negativity at all about what's... Guys, you know me. I've been talking for a long time. What about all the other... What about cancer? All these people are not even being tested. What about heart disease? What about depression? And by the way, here's another sign. Especially seasonal depression, which is like an epidemic today, you have low levels of vitamin D. Depression. I mean, there's leaky gut, there's other things. A lot of times these things are combined with other factors. But when people get, seasonal depression, they got low levels of vitamin D. Poor immunity. Can't even remember what number we're on. Poor immunity. You're sick all the time. You get a cold all the time. I know people, they're sick like it's every second day. They don't feel well. They got a bad immune system. Hello? You got low levels of vitamin D. Vitamin D does a lot of things, but you guys understand this. It's extremely important for your immune system because every cell in your body has an antenna for vitamin D, but your T cells, the Navy SEALs of your immune system, do not work properly without vitamin D. You want to charge the batteries of your T cells, your Navy SEALs that are looking for viruses and bacteria. They see that and they go, okay, that don't belong here. And they call out the troops. And they go after the viruses or the bacteria. But not if you don't have enough vitamin D. The sun. Or a supplement. You live in the northern hemisphere. Like I tell my Florida friends all the time. I love you, but this is heaven. You see Florida? You're in heaven. You don't get heaven after you die. Canadians get heaven. You don't. Your heaven is here. You get the sun all the time. We don't. Okay? And by the way, why do you think they got so sick in the United Kingdom? So sick. Their COVID numbers were crazy. Almost the worst in the world. Why? And I'll talk to you maybe tomorrow about India and something that was discovered in India where they're having real trouble, right? Okay, I don't want to get sidetracked. Poor immunity, very important. Suspect that you have low levels of vitamin D if you have poor immunity. Sore, achy muscles and bones. Doctor, I'm sore all the time. Well, one of them is insulin, always insulin. I guess I should write a new book. Insulin and vitamin D. I mean, if you could take care of those two things, you're going to be pretty healthy. Take care of insulin and take care of vitamin D. It's the secret to your health. Poor immunity, sore, achy muscles and bones happens a lot. Here's another one, because a lady sent me a picture almost like allergic to the sun. And I said, well, you should get your vitamin D levels checked, because what happens is that if you have, and this is a fact, guys, okay? So again, research done by the Vitamin D Council. What they've shown over the years is if you have low levels of vitamin D, you are going to easily burn compared to people that have normal levels of vitamin D. If you have normal levels of vitamin D, good levels of vitamin D, optimized level of vitamin D, you can take the sun a lot more than someone. Isn't it crazy? It's like a vicious cycle. You're sensitive to the sun. You don't get enough vitamin D. And then you go in the sun and you burn in the sun. Now, I never recommend anyone burning in the sun. You don't need to burn in the sun. In 20 minutes of exposing in your arms and your legs, you're getting 10,000 international units of vitamin D in 20 minutes. But if you easily burn, you need to supplement and get your vitamin D levels in your bloodstream up to a good amount. Okay? You need to do that. And then here's another one. If you have dark skin. One of the problems with the African American population, the Indian population, which I will elaborate on more, but they have extremely low levels of vitamin D, and yet they live in India, where they, generally you would think they get a lot of sun, but they have dark skin and they're scared of the sun. A lot of people live in Florida. They're in heaven, and they never go out. Oh, no, I can't, I can't, and they cover up. They don't even get 2 minutes of the sun. They're scared of it. It's the boogeyman. And one of the biggest lies, and this was done by one of the biggest lies was by the dermatologist that told us, you want to age your skin? Get in the sun. That'll age you like nobody's business. What a bunch of nonsense. That's nonsense. Now, I'm not, again, am I telling you to burn in the sun? Of course not. You know me. I don't like sunscreens. Cover up. Get in the shade. Put a wide brim hat on. Cover up. Once you've got your vitamin D, but you should, whenever it's nice. It was beautiful here yesterday. I was out in the sun, laying in the sun. Yeah. And then when I get too much sun, I cover up or go in the shade. That's what you should do. So those are some of the major signs that you should be suspicious that you're low in vitamin D. Okay. Now, we really appreciate all of you very much. We thank you guys for watching, being faithful to this program. We love the fact that we love our group. We love the Martin Clinic private Facebook group. If you're not a member, or your friends are not a member, or your families are not members, then get them to join. Get them to join. And, for people doing the reset, we're going to pump your tires. And that group, I got someone the other day to get started on the reset, and I said, look, you must join the private Facebook group, because that's where you're going to get your tires pumped up every day. When the sledding gets tough, that group is there for you. Our staff is there for you. Pump up your tires. Keep going, man. It's worth it to get healthy. Okay? Friday, question and answer. So if you want your questions answered, send them in to us. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you some more detail as we come up. I'm going to be teaching a course where you can actually get certified by the World Organization of Natural Medicine in nutrition. And I'll give you the cost of that and everything. It's going to be very good. It's very doable. And that's going to come up, I think, within a few months. But if you want to send us your email to info@martinclinic.com, send us an email, and look, there'll be nobody squeezing your, you want to do this and just be more educated in nutrition and, coach, be a health coach. Well, good for you. But if you just want it, some people want to take that course and they just want it for them personally or for the people they can influence. Well, good for you. Whatever your motive is, we're 100% behind you. And, I think you will enjoy it. Okay, now, we talk to you soon. We're going to have a great week. Love you guys.